Yo, I'm near Salem, Illinois right now, and there's two guys behind me acting weird as one of them came up to me earlier asking just some strange questions, and they do not look happy. So I'm just recording in case I get turned into a live leak video, and once I get my gas, I'm gonna get the fuck out of here.
This just happened to me around a week ago, and I knew I had to tell y'all this story. But before I tell you what happened, I need to give some context, explain what a sundown town even is, and set the scene. I grew up in the Midwest, specifically around the Chicago area, and if you know anything about Illinois, the Chicago area and Southern Illinois are very different. Now, that's not a good or bad thing, just different. Let me make this clear. I think people from the Midwest and country are very friendly. Sure, I'm a sample size of one, but I'm just speaking for myself here. And so please, while I'll be mentioning some strange encounters in this story, do not think I'm talking about everyone in Southern Illinois or the country or places I directly mentioned. A few bad eggs doesn't represent the fish, or something like that. So the 2 days this story takes place, I was just traveling to Southern Illinois for an event and to hang out with some friends. Pretty straightforward. Now, sundown towns are all over America, but there is a larger concentration in the Midwest and also dotted along my path driving down south. Historically, sundown towns are places that usually rung a bell or sounded some kind of siren near sundown so that people who are not from that town, shall we say, have to leave after dark. And since I am Chinese, let's just say that I don't exactly blend in. No, this does not mean everyone from a sundown town is evil and looking to cause harm. It does not mean that if you specifically are from a sundown town that you want to harm anyone. It does not mean if you pull into a sundown town you'd be surrounded by pitchforks and torches and immediately turn into a lampshade. It is just that active sundown towns are either de facto or de jure not friendly to outsiders after sundown. And so while this trip is not the first time I have been to a sundown town, it is the first time I've been to a sundown town after dark. The first half of my trip was fairly normal. On my 5+ hours drive down south, I made some pit stops along the way to get some food, gas, and all that. I stopped by Champaign after about 2 hours of driving to get an energy drink and some fiery balls, because we all love fiery balls in our mouths while driving. I drive for 3 more hours and get to a place called Energy, Illinois, which has a population of 956 people, by the way, which actually kind of blew my mind. For reference, my high school was around 2,500 people in it. And shout out to the people of Energy, by the way. Y'all are very kind and welcoming, and I attended like a stand-up night, ate some smash burgers and sweet potato fries. Again, very kind people. I had a good time and no complaints. So after dinner, I drive a little more down south where I stayed for the night. And the next day, I hang out a little bit more, go around for a little nature walk to hug some rocks and stuff before heading back up north around the late afternoon. But of course, I didn't want to just do the entire trip with no snacks, and not to mention that I literally couldn't because my trusty little Corolla would run out of gas before I actually finished the drive. Since I didn't refill my gas after I got to Southern Illinois, about an hour and a half into my drive, I decided to fill up my gas all the way and stop for some snacks and sweet treats for the rest of my trip up north. I still had 4 hours or so left of driving and was not trying to raw dog that trip. I pulled into this tiny gas station near Salem, Illinois, and as I'm pulling in, I noticed that some motorcycles are parked next to the place with 2 dudes standing next to them. I'm not thinking much about it, right? I mean, these guys look like they were chatting with each other, you know, whatever. As I pop my gas cover and start getting ready to get out of my car, I noticed that these 2 men had stopped whatever they were doing or talking about, and they were both looking in my direction. My car is a fish tank. I have no tints, like 0 tints, which I should probably get, by the way. These 2 guys were behind my car, and so I could only see them through my rear view mirror, but they were definitely both staring at me or my car. As I'm unplugging my phone to step out of my car, I get a better look at these 2 guys through my rear view mirror, and I noticed that these 2 individuals had a mean scowl on their faces, like I just drove over their pumpkin patch or something. Well, I'm not here to cause trouble, and it's not like I did anything to these guys. I don't even know who these guys are. I get out of the car, I lock the door, and as I'm making my way to unscrew my gas cap, I see one of these guys start walking towards me. This guy does not look happy. Do not let this guy work on a Disney set. He is walking towards me with that same mean big skull that both he and his buddy had. And I'm thinking, fuck, is this guy gonna try to rob me or something? I mean, I was in a 2015 Corolla that had like 100,000 miles on it and is scratched up. I don't carry cash on me and I have some clothes and hygiene shit for my trip, but nothing fancy or anything. I'm common gray loot. I'm not exactly the juicer in labs. So at this point, I don't turn around and start paying for the gas and all that because I don't want to turn my back to this dude walking up to me. And so I'm pretending I'm fumbling with my gas cap when I'm really just watching to see what this guy's about to do. And yes, I am from these suburbs. I'm not trying to pretend like I grew up fearing for my life at gas stations and stuff, but I'm also not a dumbass. I'm not gonna sit at a gas station glued to my phone, car unlocked, ass in the air, and turn myself into a gift basket. So anyways, this guy gets up to me and he asks where I'm from, and I go, up north. Now, this guy looks like he was sucking on a trash bin lollipop, and while I'm not trying to be unfriendly, I also don't want to get too comfortable and make him think shit's fucking sweet. There's a brief pause when he does something unexpected. He asks for a light. He doesn't pull out any smokes or anything. He literally just asks for a lighter. I had one in my car, but I'm not about to start fumbling around in there while this dude is a meter away from me, so I just tell him I don't smoke. And you shouldn't smoke, by the way. It's bad for your health. And at this point, he stops staring at me, and now he's looking past me or around me, and then he just turns around and starts walking away. I'm a little spooked, right? But I resume doing my stuff to pump the gas, and as I'm using my credit card, selecting the fuel and all that, I noticed that these two guys were still staring at me with that same scowl on their faces. I see their lips are moving. I can see that they're talking, but they're just still staring at me while they're talking, so I'm just assuming they're talking about me. Now I'm thinking, what if these dudes are serial killers or something? I mean, I don't know, alright? Sounds crazy, but it's not like you only run into serial killers when you plan to. On me, I have a 5-shot snub-nose airweight revolver. Let me make this clear. I am not, nor am I trying to be Billy Badass, Cowboy Cockington, or Timmy Tough Knuckles. I had this revolver on me pretty much at all times because, as the saying goes, I would rather not need it and have it than need it and not have it. Hey, feel free to disagree. That is not what this video is about. These two guys are standing roughly 20 to 25 meters away. They look like they carry themselves, and 20 to 25 meters with a airweight snub-nosed 5-shot revolver with 2 targets that are probably going to shoot back is not exactly an easy shot if they just start going fucking nuts. I am also not trying to get into a shootout, but at the same time, whether or not you want to get into a shootout is not always up for you to decide. So I come up with an idea. I start pumping gas, and as I'm waiting, I decide to get back into my car, and the first thing I do is shoot my twin brother and then Dennis, who is a good friend of mine, a quick text telling them where I am to give them some context so that if I do end up turning into a human effigy or on someone's YouTube channel about unsolved mysteries, there would be some breadcrumbs. And then I pull out my revolver and I start recording.
Yo, I'm near Salem, Illinois right now, and there's 2 guys behind me acting weird as fuck. One of them came up to me earlier asking just some strange questions, and they do not look happy. So I'm just recording in case I get turned into a live leak video, and once I get my gas, I'm gonna get the fuck out of here. I can see these 2 guys in my my rearview mirror, but they're just staring at me right now, so.
The reason I did this is because even if I did get into an actual self-defense scenario, I was in the middle of Illinois with a town of probably 1,000 people. Everybody probably knows each other, and if I didn't record anything that might take place, it would probably be my word against 2 locals, and let's just say that the odds are not in my favor. I'm recording and keeping an eye on these 2 guys through my rearview mirror while acting like I'm just browsing on my phone and waiting for my gas to be finished. And thankfully, I hear the click of the fuel shut off. I get out my car to finish up what I needed, and these guys have not moved. They're just still scowling at me. So as I peel away from the gas station, I don't even go to the convenience store for any tasty snacks and energy drinks. I just think, all right, I'll drive for another hour, maybe hour and a half away from this place. It's giving me bad vibes, and I don't need snacks that bad yet. So I'm driving, and now it is sunset and very beautiful. As it is getting dark, I decide that it is finally time to pull over at the next corner or convenience store before all the shops potentially close. As I pull into the parking lot for a convenience store, the place was a little eerie for me, I'm not gonna lie. I see the glowing yellow windows, and the surrounding buildings are either empty or everyone in them is asleep. I mean, it wasn't that late, but whatever. I'm in the middle of nowhere and there's not that many people there anyways. As I enter the store, which is not very big and also arranged where the shelves are perpendicular to the entrance so I can like literally see everyone as I enter. Everyone then stops whatever the fuck they were doing and they all stare at me. Now, I get it. I don't exactly blend in, and I'm sure the three people in the store all know each other. So I just do like a small head nod, a little smile in their direction to show I mean no harm, and I begin browsing for my snacks. I am not an avid junk food consumer, but I make exceptions for long road trips, and you know, you can't just get salty snacks. You also need sweet snacks to balance them out, and you need some snacks where you just suck on and keep that mouth busy. And as I'm walking around the store picking out the perfect snacks and drinks for the remaining couple hours I had left to drive, I noticed that everyone is still staring at me, and they have, well, I don't want to say hostile, but it definitely wasn't a friendly look on their faces either. I get up to the cash register to pay, and I got a whole bunch of snacks. I take out my card holder and I fumble around for my credit card when I notice that this lady isn't scanning any of my items, and she tells me that this store doesn't take credit cards or debit cards. Okay, a little bit strange. I mean, there's a card machine right next to me. I mean, it doesn't look broken. In fact, I'm pretty sure it was turned on. And at this point, I've only made glances at the cashier because I don't like to stare at people working behind the counter, because I know how awkward that is as a guy who at one point also worked a cash register. But now I actually look at her, and I don't know what exactly I was expecting. Something in her eyes kind of freaked me out. She didn't look hostile or mean. If anything, she looked very sweet. But the look she was giving me, it looked like she was trying to warn me. I know some of you are going to say, oh, that's not that deep, or I'm reading too much into the situation, and I would agree if it wasn't for the fact that everything else had already felt so off. From the people staring at me, to my earlier encounter at the gas station, to the cash-only convenience store that definitely took card, by the way. And now the look this lady was giving me, something was wrong. At this point, I realized how much danger I was in. If the people at this store or town didn't have any good intentions for me, who would I call? The police? The town probably all knows each other. Hell, I wouldn't be surprised if the brother of the chief of police was in this store with me. I didn't exactly know where the fuck I was because I just pulled into a store that looked like it was open while I was driving back up north, not thinking too much about it because I just wanted some sweet treats and chips. And so I have a pile of snacks at the counter, and I don't just want to leave it there and make a big mess. And she tells me, she almost whispers it to me actually, which did not calm me down, that it's okay, she'll put it back. And in her eyes, I can almost see a warning nearing panic, but not panic for herself, panic for me. Whatever the fuck was about to happen, I know I didn't have much time left. I know someone's going to say, oh, you're a weak little bitch. I would have told her and the store to go fuck themselves and demanded my snacks. Hey look, alright, if this was a horror movie, you would be the person to be eviscerated first. If this was Willy Wonka's chocolate factory, you would fail Willy Wonka's arduous trials. On one hand, I wanted snacks. On the other hand, it was potentially getting turned into an episode of Unsolved Mysteries. The risk reward wasn't exactly there for me to risk it all for some fat pickles, flaming hot Cheetos, and jerky. So I thanked her and I start walking to the exit, trying to make it look like I'm just casually walking out, even though I'm a little bit terrified, I ain't gonna lie. And everyone is still staring at me, and I swear they haven't moved a muscle the entire time. I walk to my car, and the entire time I'm thinking, oh hell no. I start driving again when less than 10 minutes go by and I see a set of headlights shining down the road behind me. I'm on a very quiet and straight road, so I don't know who else would be driving at night unless they also happen to be making a trip like me or they were police. But hey, I mean, whatever. I don't own the roads and anyone's welcome to drive on it. I see the headlights getting closer and closer, and I am extra cautious about driving the speed limit because I'm not trying to get pulled over, especially right now and right here. And as the car is getting closer and closer, I realize that whoever is in it is flying up the road towards me. The car gets right behind my car, it's tailgating me, and I can't see what kind of car it is because the headlights are blinding the shit out of me when this car starts flashing his high beams. At first I thought this car just wanted to pass by, so I don't pull over, but I started driving slower and on the shoulder of the road to give this car more room to pass by. Except he follows me to the shoulder and is still flashing his high beams, and I'm spooked. So I go back onto the road and once again speed up to the speed limit. If this car wanted to pass by and I gave him the chance to do so, he didn't. So it couldn't be that. And so I thought, well, is this a cop trying to tell me to pull over? But that can't be right either. I mean, the cop would probably turn on his or her red, white, and blue lights unless there's some crazy Southern Illinois police custom I'm not aware of. And this car continues to flash his high beams for the next 20-30 seconds or so before just resuming to tailgate me. So I'm thinking, is he telling me to like my gas cap is open or something? I mean, I don't know. I mean, I distinctly remember closing it and none of the lights in my Corolla were on, telling me some door or the trunk or anything like that was open. And so now I'm assuming this car is signaling me to actually pull over. Well, fuck that. I am not pulling over for some random ass car in the middle of the night, in the middle of nowhere. I take my revolver out of my waistband and tuck it into my left side stock with the holster, almost like a makeshift ankle holster. I'll put a picture up here somewhere of me recreating it. That way my revolver is easier to reach if I need to reach it, instead of like having to appendix draw while scrunched up in a compact car. This car is on my ass for the next 20 minutes or so, and I'm still not driving fast for the off chance that this is a cop and I don't want to give any reasons to get pulled over. And so at or a little more over 20 minutes, this car then begins to slow down and I see its headlights getting more and more distant before disappearing. And I am now freaked all the way out, and I just decided to say just fuck it and not stop driving until I get back home. And so I did end up raw dogging the rest of the trip, snackless, bevless, and low-key tweaking. And that was my first ever trip to a sundown town at night, and not gonna lie, it got me a little squirrely. But like I said again, while I had some spooky encounters, do not lump everyone in Southern Illinois or the country or the cities I was in as a monolith. I still don't know what that car possibly wanted from me, but hey, I would rather stay here speculating than find out the hard way. Like and sub if you want to, and I know this story is a little bit out of nowhere, but hey, I felt like I had to share, right? But most of all, thank you so much for watching and making it to the end. Drink water, hydrate, and also here's my Twitch. Bye.